The existence of the common European starling in the United States is the perfect example of a crossroads in time and the consequence of ignorance, and also of Anglo supremacy run rampant under the guise of good intentions. In 1890, a bird enthusiast named Eugene Schieffelin was the chairman of the American Acclimatization Society. According to Wikipedia, this group was dedicated to introducing European flora and fauna into North America for both economic and cultural reasons. The group's charter explained its goal was to introduce such foreign varieties of the animal and vegetable kingdom as may be useful or interesting. It's a mission statement that, in today's nonprofit world, wouldn't likely garner many grants. But Eugene had an even more nuanced, more distilled vision for the continent. He believed it would be a real gas if you could have every bird ever mentioned in all of Shakespeare in Central Park. What a hoot! It's just like Broadway bringing over one of every play written by a British white man and doing them over and over again on the Great White Way. So Eugene saw to getting all these birds to New York City. Now, to be fair, at this point in the world, we had no understanding of invasive species, Darwin had only recently kicked the bucket, and his brand new theories on evolution were still being debated. And furthermore, no one had any idea just how successful this intrepid little black bespeckled bird would be when it arrived. In previous years, the skylark hadn't done so well, shuffling off to Brooklyn and Canarsie quickly after arrival, assumedly to paint and smoke weed. But the starling, oh boy, the starling. In 1890, Eugene brought over 60 birds and 40 more in 1891. They did great in Central Park. They bred and then found themselves in the McCarthy's backyard in the Northeast. And then filled up the Calhoun's estate lawns in the Southeast. And then out back at Pat Kowalski's place in the Midwest. Until today, where the population of starlings on the continent is estimated roughly around 200 million birds, all direct descendants of the first 100 birds brought over by a well-meaning white guy. And if it's sounding to you like colonization, you are not alone. Cut to October 4th, 1960, Boston, Massachusetts. Eastern Airlines Flight 375, a Lockheed Electra, is cleared for takeoff from Logan Airport's runway 9 at 5:39 p.m. But 6 seconds after liftoff, the plane encounters a flock upwards of 10,000 starlings, a murmuration, as they are called, and engines 1, 2, and 4 ingest a collection of small birds, causing the number 1 propeller to do something ironically called feathering. Less than a minute from liftoff, the aircraft is in Winthrop Bay. The fuselage split in two. 8 passengers and 2 crew members in the back of the plane survive. The remaining 59 passengers and 3 crew members are killed. 62 stories come to an end. 62 narratives find their closure, but the traumas and effects of this disaster splay outward like the waves in Boston Harbor. Among the survivors, among the families of the deceased, friends, lovers, among the teenage boys who lived nearby who came out to help remove the bodies. All these lives impacted. All thanks to Eugene Schieffelin's first 60 starlings in 1890. Pilot Curtis W. Fitz was cleared from fault in the crash after over 60 mock flights were run in a flight simulator by expert pilots and only a few were successful. Does the family of Curtis W. Fitz know about Eugene? Do they wonder, what if Eugene never brought these birds over in 1890? What if he were never born? What if his parents were never born? What then? Is there a universe where starlings remain in Europe and Captain Fitz makes it to Philadelphia that evening? But here's the thing about starlings. They're kind of awesome. They're smart and funny and bold and tough, and their babies follow them around screaming for food in a fashion very similar to human children. They have figured out how to survive almost any climate and eat an omnivorous variety of foraged foods. Not only their coats, but their beaks change color with the seasons. They're beaks that are miraculous little devices of natural selection, hinged to pop open instead of clamp down, so that they can expertly pry open holes and flick leaves into the air. There is some evidence that they actively compose tunes. They're wonderful. They are endless entertainment. And they are also a horribly, deeply problematic nuisance that has never been contained in their 130 years in our country. Are they good? Are they bad? Have you ever seen a murmuration? It will make you believe in God. The rules of how fast these birds turn in giant complex flocks has been shown to directly map to the equations used to describe superfluid helium quantum behavior. I don't even know what that sentence means. But flock math works something like this. Any individual bird consistently maintains an equal distance between themselves and 7 other birds. That's it. Just 7 surrounding birds in flocks of thousands. The movement of one single bird affects the movement of 7 around them, and 7 around each of them, and so forth. Indra's net. Interdependence. We are the starlings. The whole world, all its inhabitants, sentient and non-sentient. What if we are all constantly moving in relation to just 7 entities around us at all times, without ever knowing it? What if we are a tiny member of a giant murmuration, unknowing of its edges and unbelieving in its existence? What choices would you make and how would they change if you knew for certain your actions could cause such impact? What 7 beings am I impacting at this very moment? How do you even get up in the morning with that sort of responsibility? But we plod along. We stretch our wings and pop open our beaks and go in search of food, and feed our young and sing our song and compose tunes to mimic the world around us. That is really all we're doing, isn't it? And were we not brought here without our consent? A sperm and an egg conjoined, and suddenly here we are, in a new body, in a new vehicle. And are we not both wonderful and terrible? All I can do is sit among the trees and reckon with how I got here, what wonder I am, and what destruction I have caused. Poking my beak into holes in the earth, asking her to provide for me, and staying present with how I have pained her in return.